Hello everyone, my name is Anne-Marie. I already know some of you and some of you already know what I'm doing because I already pitched it to you for other reasons. But I'll be presenting to you in the next couple of minutes the refugee initiative Angehört, which I'm a co-founding member of. Angehört is well, as it says, a refugee initiative. We've been together for about 18 months. We're a team of currently 13 people. It's a very, very diverse team. So we have political scientists, social workers, architects, everything you can kind of think of, we're in that group together. And we gathered as a group because a lawyer for asylum law gave a workshop on the asylum process and wanted to get more people involved in this topic. And so we decided, well, let's find an NGO which exactly focuses on this. So what we do is we firstly work in the state of Brandenburg. We don't work in Berlin, and we specifically work in the city of Frankfurt-Oder and Eisenhüttenstadt, which is right on the border to Poland, and we work in the reception centers there. So what we do is, our main task until now has been that we go into the reception centers and we explain to the asylum seekers the asylum process, and we focus especially on the interview with the German government. So we gather a group of 50, 80, 100 people, and through some translators we just explain to them how the process will work and what they should focus on, especially in the interview, like what are their rights, what are their duties, and try to prepare them also with written material. And then we are open for questions, for whatever questions they have. And the second big thing or work we're doing is we're forming local groups. So both of these cities are about an hour and a half from Berlin, and it would just make so much more sense if you have groups there, but currently you don't. So we're training local people, we're talking to a lot of NGOs to see if we can find, form an own local group for Angehört. And what are our plans? So we have three things we would like to implement in the future, which we're working on now. The first big thing is we want to accompany asylum seekers more long term. So give them more support than just the initial information. And this we want to do by working with lawyers, and either we build up a network of a lot of lawyers, but we find that it will be more likely that throughout an entire asylum process we do all the administrative work for them and help the refugees to get more accustomed to the system. The second plan we're having is, and what's really to our hearts, is financial aid, to find a way that hardship cases we can finance them and that they won't be deported because they lack money. And then the third plan we're having is medical support. So many of the asylum seekers who come are in need for to see a doctor, a psychotherapist or something, and they often can't afford it, they don't know where to go. So we want to build up a network, especially in Brandenburg where it's now very, very scarce, so that we are able to tell a refugee, look, well, if you need a doctor, you can go to this person, we trust them, and they're good people. And why do we do what we do? I mean, firstly, why do we do legal work? This is the reason they're coming. I think it's personally really nice that so many people are building up all these initiatives, but well, they're here to get asylum, and they need support for that, especially the interview. It's the crucial moment and the decisive moment in their asylum process, and if they don't know it will be coming and what it will look like, they're quite likely to say the wrong things, to be confused, to simply not know their rights. And why do we work in Brandenburg? Well, there is a lack of civil society. We're currently the only NGO doing this kind of work in the entire state of Brandenburg. So if we don't go, there's simply no one. And so we take up and we go to the camps. And this brings me to my last question. Why do we go to the camps? It would just be easier to build up an office and that they come to us, but there is a monetary barrier. It's quite expensive for them to travel to Berlin or to even to other cities. They need to pay for it. And it's an information barrier because, all this information which we're telling them is out there in the internet, but it's not really, it's so much that no one really knows what is the main important thing. So if we just go and within an hour we can talk to 100 people, there's such a more of an impact than, they all need to search on the internet. And lastly, besides all these legal issues, we shouldn't forget that it's a personal contact. They're so happy to see people. They might have been on a journey for 3 months, and they invite us for tea and we have a chat with them, and it's just a really nice engagement. We go to their homes, we don't expect anything from them, but we go to them. And so I think this is just a little bit of what we're doing. Maybe just to sum up a little bit our stakeholders, because I didn't put that in my presentations. Our main stakeholders are, of course, asylum seekers. Then we have anyone who's currently like would be working with us. So it is volunteers, it is doctors, it is lawyers, or like the further professional engagement, I don't know, like online marketing and whatever you need to be able to work with an NGO. And then it's another big stakeholder for us, it's funding. Funding or support, which would be an NGO, which could be, I don't know, a company which would be interested in giving money to us. And so these are kind of the stakeholders we work around. It's of course also the government. I mean, you know, we work with German authorities a lot and talk to them, more for the interactive side, not for the money side, because we don't know how much they're interested in supporting us when we get more people to stake in. So yeah, thank you.
I'm going to present our idea to you today. We are a grassroots think tank for foreign and European affairs, and we call it Polis 180. And I tried to somehow visualize it. I don't know if now you will be able to see it. So what was the starting point? Actually, the starting point was that many people think that politics is boring, and that's something that like old people do, and something where no matter what you're doing, you do not have an impact like anyway. So, but actually we think that this is not true. We think that it's fun. And so when we work on that, that's sometimes how it looks like. So the idea behind it is that it's not like top down. The idea is that everyone can participate, so it's more bottom up. And we want to get involved and we want to share our ideas. So what is our idea? We think that a critical mind and optimism, which I'm going to show to you in a second, optimism, they are compatible. We are full of ideas, and we want to show to the world that Germany is open and that EU and foreign relations are very important, and that the young generation has something to say. So we want to create a platform for that young generation to express their thoughts. So who are we then? Well, that's us. That's a bit formal, I know, but sometimes it's fun, as I said. So we have various backgrounds. We are students, young professionals, and we're from different countries and walks of life. And we have a strong network in politics, in academia, which is you, and administration. And if we don't have it now, well, we're working on that. And what's the idea? Well, we want to create a hub for innovative political thinking. And how do we want to do that? Our ideas we want to formulate in our analysis, and then we want to have recommendations. Recommendations we call Polis recommendations, because it's Polis. And we want to trigger a dialogue, and the dialogue is among generations, sectors, and institutions. And for us it's very important that foreign and European affairs become more transparent, more inclusive, and that everyone can actually participate. So how do we do that? We have our Polis programs. We have 3 of them: migration, peace and security, and EU. And how do we do that? We listen to each other, we write about things, and we present our ideas. And we want to use actually new and innovative formats. We're organizing events. We want to be creative, we want to be thought-provoking. And then we have as I already mentioned, the Polis recommendations. And very important, our blog, where we publish our ideas. So basically, if you're writing a bachelor thesis or you just want to work on a topic, then you can write together with others and you can publish on a blog. And it has to be good, but apart from that, everyone can do it. So everyone that is interested should get involved. And in case you want to know more about our programs, as I said, EU, migration, and peace and security, you can just approach me. I also here try to sum it up. The groups that are working on it can have a look at it. And so what are our stakeholders? We have the Paulus members, but everyone can become a member. So we, the members, want to attract other members. And for us it's very important, and maybe that's something one group could work on, how to attract people that are not already involved in somehow politics or study political sciences or economy or like somehow connected subjects, but maybe also people that are working more in the creative field, because we also want to attract them. Another stakeholder is our decision and policy makers and people that are in the administration, because well, we want to change what is happening there with our recommendations. And also the media, because they should talk about what we're doing. And of course, very important, the fundings, because we are an association, so in German, a Verein, so we need money. And yeah, that's basically it. So I'm looking forward to the results.
Basically, right, so I'm Ivan, a former NPP student, class of 2007, and now I am doing the research fellowship at the Robert Bosch Academy on international rule of law. And the main idea behind the fellowship is that I provide with a group of experts that has been meeting already in the Bosch Academy with a global mapping on the actors, the themes, the concepts, or the hot topics of the current state of international rule of law. Now, my background is political science and IR and public policy. So this was the sort of first jump that I had into rule of law. And one of the things that I found very interesting was that every single person that you ask, when you ask them what is the rule of law, they tell you, well, it's kind of difficult to explain. And then you go to the books, and then the books tell you, it's kind of hard to explain. And so wherever you look, everyone has a different definition. Everyone tells you that it's composed of something different. Now, the idea that I had, and this is where I would like your help on it, is to visualize what is the rule of law, right? And this is because end of November I will be going to the United World College of Freiburg. They're going to do a Model UN there, and there are people from different countries, and they're going to have within the framework of this Model UN discussions on human rights, on refugees, and so forth. And I've been working with them in order to have one of the sessions focused on the international rule of law. And the thing is that, well, one way to help the participants understand what is the rule of law is hopefully through a visualization. Then I talked about this idea to the experts or people that have been working in criminal courts, prosecutors, judges, on the visualization, and they actually think that is very helpful as well. So this is a visualization that helps not only people that are doing the International Baccalaureate, but also people that have worked on criminal courts. So the visualization hopefully will be based on, I mean, I brought a few articles that have simply keywords about what is the rule of law. So shall I read the headings here? Right. So there's one very basic definition of the rule of law, which can be sort of like the starter for the visualization, which is there's this group called LexisNexis Research, which is also a search engine for academic articles, and they have something called the rule of law equation, which is like the most concise version of this. And they say that the rule of law equation is this process where there has to be equality under the law for every citizen, the transparency of law, meaning that the law is accessible for the people that are protected by a law, that there is an independent judiciary, and that there is accessible legal remedy. So someone, it's not only a question of whether we're all equal under the law, or that we understand the law, but, or that we can take someone to court and there's an independent judiciary, but we also have to be able to go to the court. It has to be reachable. So that's like the core, the concept that I thought could help to start the talks on this visualization. But then there's this very thorough paper which was written on the 69th session of the General Assembly, in which this paper took something like 5 years to be negotiated until a final version. And this is where the General Assembly sort of puts together what the world sort of thinks as of 2014 of what the rule of law is. And one of the things that they say is that the rule of law is made up of codifications and promotion of international frameworks, norms and standards, international courts and tribunals, international and hybrid criminal courts and tribunals, non-judiciary and security council mechanisms. And then at the national level, there are justice systems, security sector institutions, the police, fight against impunity and transitional justice. There's the issue of gender-based violence, protection of children, internally displaced persons, and then the rule of law and sustainable development is attached under the following things: conflict prevention, justice system and law reform, national human rights, death penalty issues, counterterrorism, corruption, drug trafficking, firearms trafficking, human trafficking, protection of children, refugees, statelessness, sustainable urbanization, natural resources and the environment, and the list goes on and on and on. But it's very concise though. So it would be really, really cool if a group or two groups, hopefully, could help in putting all of, for example, this General Assembly headlines into some form of diagram that shows what is related, what is not related. That would allow someone that is either a hyper expert, such as someone that works in international rule law, or someone that is doing their international baccalaureate, someone that is 17 years old, because it will help both to visualize, to see something that can be very abstract or very boring. And that's all. Thank you.
Okay, for Angelburg we have these first two main characters. This is first an asylum seeker who is overwhelmed by the traumas of the situation that he or she was had in their previous country, overwhelmed by questions, by endless letters they don't understand, about overwhelmed by communication issues, and long waiting periods for application, and an unclear process they never finish to understand. On the other hand, we have a government official who it's overwhelmed by increasing number of applications. He's also affected by efficiency issues that they don't know exactly how to use the information, what kind of information they have, how could they make easier their own work. So here, Angehord, it's a group of committed and passionate transversal team who is willing to help to guide the asylum seekers through the process of application, giving most importantly legal advice and acting also as a connective entity between asylum seekers, between engaged volunteers, between medical access to medical help and advice, and also legal advice. When Angehord comes, here they facilitate all this process, they sort all of these difficulties for these two agents towards a peaceful and happy life forever and ever.
Okay, so this is Angehört, and so this is kind of the whole process. So you start here, the refugees are arriving at the refugee center in Brandenburg. This is our little guy, we're going to follow them through the process. You already here see the Angehört superheroes who are coming in to help. So they teach courses to kind of explain the process and help people out. There you again see our little purple guy that we're following. Then you've got this big monster of a bureaucracy, which the superheroes are helping them get through. Here the refugees trying to explain why they should be allowed to stay and not get eaten. And then Angehört is coming in and punching the bureaucracy. And then it keeps on going, and at the end we see this wonderful form with an approved stamp on it, and Angehört and the refugee holding hand in hand as they go out to a very optimistic future. Yeah.
About the Polis 180, so it starts from the left, kind of goes to the right. What spurs our image is this kind of dark clouds, the lightning bolt striking curiosity, and our person is Kim, and she is a graphic designer freelancer living in Berlin. So she had an issue with copyright, and she was upset. So this is the rain that's coming down and pushing her towards this network, which is the Polis network. And you'll see the people down here, which is the grassroots community, and she finds them through an event at a co-working space where Polis pitched this idea, which is how she got connected to this community. And up through the tree is she attends an event, and this is the Polis events that occur continuously. And through that she can go to the different channels, which are being involved with policy recommendation, which is a bit more advanced, but more specifically the blog. She can use her skills to put towards action, which is, here's Kim on the tree, swinging in bliss, holding her beautiful design that she created for the blog to get rid of the text for people who are more visual learners. And it's sunny over there, and we have this overarching 180 degrees Polis kind of logo to kind of put it all together, and it goes through her. And yeah, okay.
On this beautiful painting you can see the rule of law represented by Mrs. Justice, how she stands tall on the building of many institutions that reach from a customary law level up to a global law level. Out of the windows of her building hang out different topics that concern the individual levels, and she stands firm on the 5 principles of justice. But her life is not very easy, and she's constantly in motion, as Maxine would explain, you know.
I think it can start with the attacks, right?
Okay. On the left side, she's attacked by wars. Rule of law is attacked by issues like corruption, arms trade. But there are certain institutions that have to defend her, like the police or the lawyers and the courts of a country. But also in the way that she's being threatened from the one side, she's being protected, she's being built up on the other side. You have people bringing education, and then with elections you bring material to build up, and to improve the firmness of this building.
The maintenance, construction workers keep moving
10 seconds.
forward. And this road that leaves open, it also interprets as the open access to all these institutions, and which is also a part of rule of law. And by this we end up with a good note because we want to uphold rule of law. Good.
All right, thank you very much.
So we represented rule of law as being an umbrella that covers everybody in the world equally. So everybody, when there is rule of law, everybody's covered by the umbrella. And the umbrella, the handle is made up by the fundamental rights, but there's also 4 key pieces. So the constraints on government power, open government, absence of corruption, and order and security make up this umbrella that protects us from.
Yeah, and similar to Lady Justice, there are many threats that you have when you're out and about with an umbrella. It's the weather, or things like human trafficking or terrorism, internal displacement or corruption, which are
And
symbolized by the
violence against women and children, drug trafficking, impunity, and the umbrella keeps us safe. So rule of law keeps us safe from all of those threats.
And why so simple? Because it was made up for a 17-year-old kid that is going to take part in the modeling UN in the end of November, and we wanted to be able to explain it to her very easy and in a very simplified way.
So if you have like a weak umbrella, all these threats are gonna like go and affect the people that it's protecting. So that's super simple. Come.
Perfect, right in time.
So to me, like, this was really great. I honestly, I loved it. Thank you everyone for putting so much energy into it. It's really, I really loved both of the pictures because they simplified the problems we face and what we think, what we can help, and I think this will really help us. And it was also really great to see how all these thoughts I had in mind, and I kept on saying like, oh, well, why didn't you think about this and this and this? And then it comes out so simplified, and it's really nice to see that you can really break it down into something so simple and effective. And yeah. We'll let you know if we get lots of money or something with it.
I liked how my team was like working on it very well. And at the beginning we were standing there and weren't really sure what to do, and with all the complexity and all the different aspects. But then as we started drawing, I was really impressed by the skills the team has, and yeah, then we really got into the mood and the flow, and that was what came out, and I like it very much because when we talk about Polis 180, it's more about this political science approach and how it appears the project to people that are already involved. And so I like the persona we choose because it's a person that is not involved yet, but I mean now she's involved, and so yeah, cool.
Really want to thank both teams. The language is very different on each of them, and it really helps to make sense of a very complicated topic and to put it in such an elegant way. I'm very happy with the umbrella analogy. I'm very glad that that it's a completely different outcome from the sort of like tower, and I think that those two very concise ways of expressing such a complicated, complex topic really allows for catering for different target audiences, because even if they are from the same age group and so forth, but I think that you can reach even more people. And the other thing is, as it was mentioned, that having a group of people deal with a topic that you're sort of immersed on a day-to-day basis, sometimes you become so overwhelmed with the details that you lose track of what is important above all of this, and then you manage to make it really wonderful. It helps me now to to reprioritize a lot of the things that I do. So thank you very much.